Well, thank you all for coming out. I'm an attorney out of Austin, Texas. My name is Kevin Green. I have the privilege to handle a lot of civil rights cases, including, unfortunately, a lot of police brutality cases. And there seem to be coming from, most recently from Zapata, Texas, down the road from Laredo here. We're at the federal courthouse. I also have the honor and privilege of representing Mr. Rigoberto Barrientos, who lost his leg. He was a victim of 4 sheriff's deputies that assaulted him last year. And then his case lay buried beneath a false police report where the deputy who filled out that report lied and said that Mr. Barrientos started a fight with that deputy. We know, because I fought along with my partner Thomas Lyons Jr. Very hard to finally get the Zapata County officials to give us a copy of all of the police body cam footage. The footage is absolutely horrific. It shows an unprovoked arrest with no probable cause, and then, much, much worse, it shows that the 4 deputies decided to body slam Mr. Barrientos face first towards a concrete floor, and what braced his fall and probably kept him from severe facial and spine injuries was his knee. His left leg, because the sheriff's deputy used a very dangerous takedown maneuver, his left leg bent backwards in the opposite direction that your knee is supposed to bend, so forcefully that his leg, you could hear it on the video, it makes a horrible crunching, popping sound. And it just splits the leg all the way off, except for just a little tissue in the front. The deputies had to apply 2 tourniquets right away in order to save his life, because quite literally, Mr. Barrientos was bleeding to death on his own carport at his home for absolutely no reason whatsoever. And he was rushed to the Laredo Medical Center and then immediately sent on to San Antonio for life-saving care. Sadly, they could not reattach his leg. So Mr. Barrientos, who's has spent a lifetime working in construction and just as a blue-collar laborer and a citizen of Zapata, can no longer work. He can no longer take care of himself. He's crippled for life, as you can see. He's disfigured. He's traumatized. They saddled him with over $500,000 in hospital bills. He spent a month in San Antonio, away from his family, away from his friends, away from the life that he knew in Zapata, trying to recover from this horrific assault by the Zapata County Sheriff's Office, the sheriff's deputies in the office. And we have filed suit this week in federal court to get justice for Mr. Barrientos. The reason we're holding a press conference, though, is because this is a much wider issue. It's not just between Mr. Barrientos and the police. If it was, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. I would just be an attorney like every other attorney inside doing my job. Instead, I'm out here because this is a community problem. Anytime you have law enforcement that is so poorly trained and poorly supervised that 4 of them would do this to Mr. Barrientos and then try to cover it up, right? That's a big problem. The fact that these 4 officers were never disciplined, one of them, the chief instigator of this, Deputy Martinez, has been promoted, I think twice, but at least once into a new federally funded position. So they've lifted no finger to try to fix the problem. They've done absolutely nothing to help Mr. Barrientos. And no one in Zapata, none of the citizens of Zapata deserve to be treated the way that Mr. Barrientos was treated. Everybody deserves a sheriff's department that works a lot better than what they've got. And just think for a second, this crossed my mind the other day, if you were a woman living in Zapata that felt like, hey, I might want to call the police because my fight with my boyfriend or husband is escalating, now she has to do the different type of math that no woman should have to do. They have to think, if I call the cops, What are they going to do to this man? It might just be a little argument, right? And then for all the men, if a woman calls the police on you and you've done nothing, you're not insulting, you're standing there very meek, very mild. And like I said, I have the videotape to prove every single thing I'm saying. And this happens to you. That's not the way Americans should live their life. I know that these communities on the border are good people. And I know there are a lot of good officers, and no one deserves to have a sheriff that's unwilling to take a stand and fix a problem, just like Sheriff Raimundo Del Bosque apparently has been. So it's a sad story. We are here to get justice for Mr. Barrientos. I know this process is going to take a while, and I really appreciate everyone coming out to listen to what happened, to spread the word that there is a problem, a big problem in the sheriff's office in Zapata County that needs to get fixed. And the politicians have an opportunity. I said I had the video. I don't want to release the video. I want them to release the video. I think that's their job. They are the public officials. They're the elected officials. You know, this is going to be something that comes up, I'm sure, during the campaign season that's coming up in 2024 and even starting now. And if they don't get a handle on what's wrong in Zapata, then the citizens need to know, and they need to know in time before they vote. So I am today pleading with the county officials, the county commissioners, the sheriff himself, anyone that will listen in Zapata County to release that video and to make some statements, tell people what they intend to do to fix this, to make sure that no one else gets hurt like Mr. Barrientos, and to make sure that the public knows that no one's going to tolerate a hyper-violent police force that's just taking it out on people because they can. Thank you very much, and I'll open the floor to a few questions, and please go ahead.
Do you have any information on what investigation, if any, was conducted after the incident?
I think almost nothing was done. Right now, there needs to be a full, open, transparent investigation to where not just me and Mr. Barrientos, but the entire community can feel assured that someone's really looking into this. And I don't know if that's the federal officials that need to get involved out there, you know, for any type of civil rights investigation or anything like that, but that would be an important step. I would hope that we might even hear from the U.S. Attorney or, you know, the Texas Rangers and people that handle public accountability when a police department or a sheriff's department is operating outside of the law.
Have you looked into their personnel files, deputies that were involved in this incident?
I have not been provided the personnel files. I've asked for them. I will be able to get my hands on them during the course of discovery. And for viewers and listeners who don't know, the discovery is just a process where both sides to a lawsuit exchange information, you know, pursuant to like the judge being the referee on how that goes. We are definitely entitled to it. And once the suit, you know, goes its course, we're going to go through a very fulsome discovery process, and we're going to leave no stone unturned on our end to figure out how these people got hired. I mean, what are their backgrounds? Do they have a history of this? What disciplinary actions, if any, were taken? And maybe most importantly, were they ever given any training? Like, especially after this happened, you know, has there been, and there needs to be a whole new, like, continuing education program for the deputies in Zapata County on de-escalation, proper use of force, and how to do a takedown without breaking someone's leg completely off their body. I think that's not a lot to ask.
Is there a criminal investigation ongoing in regards to their actions?
I am not privy to that. I don't know. I hope so. It's not an area of law that I practice in. You know, if there was, it'd probably be the Texas Rangers or the FBI that was handling it, and I'm sure that they'd be happy to answer any question like that.
One last question. Is Mr. Barrientos still facing criminal charges for this incident?
That's a super interesting question. He's faced absolutely none. None. And the reason why is they shouldn't have arrested him in the first place. And his arrest report on the top says, oh, he was arrested for resisting arrest. We all know that that's a ridiculous charge. You have to be arrested for something first. You just can't resist arrest out of the blue, right? So our contention in the lawsuit is pretty simple, that without probable cause, any use of force against Mr. Barrientos, even handcuffing Mr. Barrientos or grabbing Mr. Barrientos, was an unreasonable, excessive use of force. But quite clearly, even if they did have a basis to arrest him, this wasn't like an active shooter situation where someone had to be taken out where it was life or death. They should not have snapped this poor man's leg completely off his body.
Well, I'm sorry, one last question. What are the causes named in this federal civil lawsuit?
What are the
causes?
The cost?
Cost of actions.
Oh, the causes of action. So we have a First Amendment claim. Our contention for that is that Mr. Barrientos was arrested for simply saying his opinion about, hey, you know, this is my house too, right? That's what the video shows, and the deputy kind of got mad at that for some weird reason and arrested him. So it's been black letter constitutional law in the United States for decades and decades that a police officer is not allowed to arrest somebody for expressing a viewpoint, even if the police officer disagrees with it. But the more obvious ones for most people, it's going to be, this was a use of excessive force in violation of the 4th and 14th Amendments of the U.S. Constitution. That's the 4th Amendment, something everyone's heard of. That's your protections against unreasonable searches and seizures. Obviously, this is a seizure that went wildly, wildly wrong. Are there any other questions?
I got no more questions.
Sorry, go ahead.
Can you clarify, do you have the video already, or?
We've got the video, and we're waiting to see if the county will release it themselves. And if they won't, maybe one day we will. We'll just have to see how that goes. But I want them to take this opportunity to do the right thing. You know, these are elected officials. They don't need to hide behind lawyers. They don't need to hide behind their desk. You know, if they have a problem, they need to get out in front of it. They need to go public and tell people, hey, this is what happened. It was wrong, and it's never going to happen again, and here's what we're going to do about it. And so far, it's just been silence. So I invite the media to follow up with them as well. You know, what do they plan on doing about this? And if any of these officials have not seen the video, if the sheriff's office is hiding the video from the county commissioners or whatever's going on in Zapata, call me, email me. Any public official in Zapata, I will let you watch the video yourself. That way you can take a stand against what happened.
Were there any steps taken prior to the lawsuit on trying to rectify or find a solution or anything to that situation?
The county has done nothing, no outreach whatsoever to Mr. Barrientos. They know that they've crippled this man. They know that they've deprived him of a way to earn a living. He's not been helped by the county whatsoever. No one contacted anybody, and like I said, they kind of were hiding behind a false arrest report. And when I asked them, and I had Mr. Barrientos ask them for all of the information about his case, the videos and the arrest record, they told us to go fly a kite. They weren't giving it to us. I had to sue them in Zapata County just to release the public records on Mr. Barrientos. That's how much they wanted to sweep this under the rug. So that was a big fight, and that was expensive for us, but we won. And so they have now given me that information, and with that, I was able to file suit in federal court, and we're going to go get justice for this man.
Any words, Mr. Barrientos?
No, just want to say de que pues nomás que se haga justicia y que pues no quiero que le pase a alguien más que le pasó.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the major reasons we're fighting this lawsuit as well. Is Mr. Barrientos feels very strongly that no one else should go through what he went through. Nobody. So we're going to stop it. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all. That I guess concludes the press conference. I really appreciate everyone coming out today. Thank you. You all have my email if you have any need follow on. Okay. Thank you all so much.